Hello and welcome all. If you are an Indian citizen and are looking to join your spouse who is an Australian resident or citizen, the process may seem quite daunting. There are a lot of factors that you need to keep in mind when you're applying for Australia spouse visa. So to be in this video we will be breaking down all the important aspects of the Australia spouse visa 309, and to help us with this we have Amara agent and spouse visa expert, Ms. Parvinder Kaur. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, so what is the Australia spouse visa 309 and what are the eligibility requirements for that?
Australia visa subclass 309 is a provisional partner visa. This visa category is for applicants who are married to an Australian resident or an Australian citizen. So if you are married to an Australian resident or an Australian citizen, then in order to join your partner, you need to apply for some partner visa. And visa subclass 309 is a provisional partner visa which the applicants may apply and join their spouse in Australia. The second query you had was regarding the requirements. So as this visa is largely based on your relationship with your Australian spouse, you need to be in a genuine and stable relationship, and you need to attach all the documentation which shows all the aspects of your relationship. So this is the basic requirement which the applicants must meet.
Okay, so ma'am, with any spouse visa, this visa also needs a sponsor, which in this case is the Australian resident or citizen. So do they also need to meet some requirements?
Yes, of course. There are certain requirements which your Australian spouse also needs to meet. First and foremost, they must be an eligible sponsor. Now, there are certain conditions which the applicants must take care of, like it's regarding any previous relationships. So if you had any previous relationships and you had traveled to Australia on a partner provisional visa, or you yourself got your residence through this partner visa, then there may be certain restrictions on the number of times you may sponsor a partner. So this is one point the applicants must look into. Secondly, the Australian spouse need to have sponsored the person who is applying from India. So you need to lodge an online sponsorship form for your spouse who is applying for visa subclass 309. So these are the basic conditions which the supporting partner who is in Australia must meet.
Okay, so ma'am, what is the average time of processing of this visa?
The processing time of this visa subclass, that is 309 partner provisional visa, is quite long. I mean, the applicant, once they have submitted the application, may expect the decision within 9 to 12 months. So after submitting your application, you'll have to wait for this time to get the decision of this partner provisional visa subclass 309.
Okay, ma'am. So as you mentioned, this 309 is a provisional visa, and from what I know, there's a permanent visa, that is visa subclass 100. So how does applicant convert their visa from 309 to say a subclass 100?
So while lodging your temporary provisional visa subclass 309, the applicant at that time also lodge the visa for their permanent provisional partner visa, that is visa subclass 100. So both the applications are lodged at the same time, at the time of visa subclass 309. So the difference is that firstly you would be getting the decision of your partner provisional visa subclass 309, and once you have fulfilled the conditions on that visa, you have traveled to Australia, you have spent a considerable amount of time with your spouse, then the applicants after some time get a notification from the Department of Home Affairs to lodge their application for permanent visa subclass 100. At that point, the applicant, the couple need to provide updated documents regarding their relationship. And when the notification comes for visa subclass 100, there is no visa fee payable at that time. That is done once you apply for your provisional visa subclass 309. So this is the process how it goes for permanent visa.
Okay, ma'am. So when you were talking about the 309, you talked about the processing time, which is quite long, say about a year.
Yes.
So what if the Indian spouse wants to join their spouse in Australia before the 309 is granted. Is there any way that they can go to Australia before?
Yes, of course. And this is a very, very common query we get from applicants who approach us for applying their visas. As the wait time is too long and the Australian spouse may have got work commitments in Australia, so it may not be possible for that person to stay here with you in India so that you could be together. So the option the applicants have is that they can apply for their visitor visa subclass 600 once they have submitted their partnership visa application 309. So once you submit your application, that is provisional partner visa for Australia, then you may apply for visitor visa. The decision of the visitor visa comes quite quick, like the applicants can expect the decision within 15 days to 30 days. And on getting a positive decision, you may travel to Australia and be with your spouse. So this is one of the ways the applicants may join their Australian spouse.
So are there any specific eligibility requirements for the visitor visa?
Yes, of course. The applicants need to meet the eligibility requirements in order to be granted Australian visitor visa. As you are applying this visa to be with your spouse, so you need to attach the evidence that you are married to your Australian spouse, all those things, so that the case officer is clear about the purpose of your visit. Secondly, the case officer would also look into the incentives you have, so which would encourage you to come back to your home country. So this is the documentation which is required to apply for Australia visa, visitor visa subclass 600.
And thank you so much, ma'am, for talking about all the important aspects that any Indian citizen who is looking to apply for the Australia spouse visa 309 needs to keep in mind. And if they want to join their spouse beforehand, they also have a visitor visa that they can apply for to go to Australia. And so for any other further queries, you can contact West Highlander Immigration. Thank you.
Thank you.